Hello everybody and a very warm welcome to Crafters TV. My name is Ben Mosby, good to see you. Thanks for being with us for our second show of the day. We are back helping you to craft your stash. Yeah, these shows all about helping you to get the very best out of goodies that you might already have in your craft room, and chances are that if you're crafting with us here on Crafters TV, you might have a machine. Chances are very high that you have a Gemini 2, and if you don't, chances are that you have one of our manual machines as well. We are going to be having a good look over the course of the next hour at all things G2. Now, if you have any questions you want to fire in, please feel free. Maybe you're new to owning a G2 and you've not used it a lot. Maybe you want to know about different plate combinations. Maybe you want to know about the kind of things that you can cut within your G2. Maybe you want to know how you can emboss with all of the different folders in your G2. Whatever it might be, any questions, then you can get in touch with us in the usual places. And as we said, you know what, if you're not an electronic user, maybe you're just using a Gemini Mini, maybe you're using a Mini like we've got on our Out of This World deal for you today, then get those questions in. These Craft Your Stash shows are there for you to get the very best out of your crafty stash, and the three that we had yesterday were very, very well attended, and the questions were absolutely brilliant. So Debbie will be motoring on with everything that she will want to show you about our machines over the course of the hour. You ask the questions. I know she will probably cover off most things, but if at a point you go, I wonder this, I wonder that, you fire in the questions, I ask Debbie, and she will certainly be able to help you, I am sure. Before I say a few quick hellos to lots of people who are already in on the show, let's say the most important hello to the lady. Well, her middle name is Gemini II. I don't know if you knew that. She changed her name recently by default. It's a long name now. It's Debbie, the Barnsley Bombshell, G2 Robinson. Very, very long. We need to get it on a name strap for the next show.
Yes, absolutely, because I live, breathe, eat this machine. Well, I don't really technically eat that machine. Wouldn't taste very nice, would it? But no, I honestly, game changer for me, the world of the Gemini machines. And I absolutely want to share all of what I know about this machine with you guys, for those that don't know. And I get asked so many times when I'm out and about, when I do classes, when I do demo days, when I'm out and around in trade shows, I get asked all the time about how to use it, how to make the most of your plates, the combinations, whether manual versus electric, what's the difference, all those kind of things. I would happily stand for hours on end. I've been told I can't have that, but hours on end about our machines, because I use them every single time I craft. Every single one of them has a place in your crafty stash room, in your areas, whatever areas it is that you craft from. So I'm going to impart my knowledge onto you guys. I am more than happy to answer absolutely anything about these machines, and I can't wait to throw you and put it through its paces. So get those comments coming in, get those questions coming in, and I will be happy to help.
Let's say a few quick hellos. Lots of people already in. We've got Radical Rachel on the socials for this one. Lois says, good morning, everyone from Ohio. Hello. Louise Burton says, hello, everyone. Diana Harrison says, good afternoon to Ben, Debbie, and all. Trudy Bickham says, hi again. From Florida, Janelle Watson-Washman says, greetings from Western Washington State. Hello also to Jen Shank, Laurie Barnett, Love to Create LC, who says hello again, Ben, Debbie, team, and all, and Christine Mahoney says, hello again, everyone. Ash Cambo says, I definitely want to know about plate combinations. Can you do me a favour? If you are like me and it goes in one ear and out the other, if you're watching this show, write down the plate combinations as we go, because producer Johnny, you'll know, old Father Craft as we call him, he has been producing craft before craft even existed. That's how long he's been in the business, and even he still can't remember the plate combination. So jot it down, or best case scenario, just write down when this show is now so you can come back to it at any point. You're like, oh, what is the combination for this, that, the other? You'll know, because I'm sure Debbie will go through it all. It's always a bit of a head scratcher, isn't it?
It can be, and I still sometimes, I have to look at a die and I have to think, what's the right combination, which is why, if you have got notepads and pencils, grab it now, write down what I'm going to share my knowledge with you guys, so that you can see how to use them. And I'll explain about the plate combinations and why we have to chop and change things around, because we talk about a sandwich, not the stuff that you put in your mouth sandwich, the stuff that you put in the machine sandwich. You hear the plate combination being used around. Shims, that's another word for them.
Yeah.
Everything has its place, and I'm going to strip it back from a simple die to an intricate die to 3D, 2D stencil embossing. From multimedia dies in terms of a one piece of leather to versus multiple pieces of cotton versus using a regular die, using material as well, and so much more. And that's just with the G2. Just with the G2. And then we'll talk about the manuals as well. If we have the time, we might go over that little bit of an hour. We're going to see how we get on with this. But I think I am going to start with, if you allow me, just to tell you about the machine itself. Because the big question I get asked, and I got asked this, I was telling Ben in the break, about people asking me about the Gemini 2, the Gemini Original, the Junior, and the Go that we had. They were all our electronic die-cutting machines, and people asking if we're going to be bringing a G2 Junior out. No, we're not. We're not going to be doing that because this now has replaced the original, but it's also replaced the Gemini Junior and the Gemini Go. Now, that's not to say you can't get the plates for those, because you still can, but this is now as literally just the one-stop machine that does anything from a small platform of 3x6 to a Gemini Junior plate, which is your 6x9, to the standard ones of your Gemini Originals, which is the 9x12 as well.
Yeah.
And I haven't forgotten about the Gemini Pro, because I got asked the questions about that on Sunday as well, which was the big daddy of them all. But yeah, so that's a 12x12 platform, or a 12x18 if you've got the bigger plates. Let me talk about the Gemini 2. Die-cutting, electronic die-cutting and embossing machine. It now has different features. So the old style Gemini is more of a rounded feature with two manual sensors in there and an optical sensor. This is now all changed. Sleeker design, it's been pimped up, it's got this new design, new colour, stylish as well, but very useful. Now, we'll start at the back. Now, your cable will be white. Just will tell you, if you do lose your white cable like we have, your original will fit in there.
I've got it over here.
Have you got the original?
I nicked it just to be awkward.
Was that Gorgeous George, our new producer, who used to be Gorgeous George of the joysticks, who's now Gorgeous George of the producer chair?
Yeah.
I'll find a new nickname for him.
Yeah.
He's back, and he's back today. This is his first show.
Yeah.
And honestly, did you give him the white cable, George?
Yeah. He was being very, he said it's his first day back. He was super prepped. He got me a G2. He plugged it in over here. Like, I'm going to be doing any crafting, man. What are you doing? What are you doing with this?
God,
anyway, so there's the cable. Anyway, there's the cable.
That's the cable. So yours will be white. But just to show you that your 3-point pin cables for your own machine will fit in there as well. Now, the things that you can see, as always, and I'll try and do this back to front, Debbie. There you go. On-off button. To get the electricity into there. 3 USB ports, super useful for charging with a USB port. Your iPads, your iPhones, your fans, electric fans, anything, light pads, anything that's got the vacuum, the little, the little Hoover that we have, or the vacuum, whatever we call it, little Henry. What's he called? Yours is called Vernon. Mine's called nothing, because I can't think of a name for him.
Victoria.
Anything that's got a USB cable goes into the back of there, and we weren't even, we could have just given you one, but gave you 3.
That Laura who watches us, if she's watching, she'll comment. She charges a massage chair off the USB port, so she has a massage while she crafts with the G2.
I love it, because while it's got the electricity supply going through, why not?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Now, the other features that you'll see, and I'll turn it sideways so that you can see this, is the drop-down drawers. And I call them the drop-down drawers. I know it's called the platform or the wings, because it's about like the wings of an aeroplane, but they are useful storage drawers, because now you've got space to be able to store things, whatever you want. We joke about Craig with his sweets in his. I've got
lots
tools
of people
in there.
do.
Lots of people do. You'd be surprised how many people told me that. But it also means platform-wise, when you put your plates through now, you don't have to stand at the back and catch.
No.
You just sit there. So that's a really useful feature. Moving on to the front of the machine, you have now got your media stand. So you lift that up. It is also, if I lift that up there, it's also some more storage space for you as well. So you've got more places to put tools into here. But this is where you will sit things like your phones, or maybe it's a die, or maybe your magnetic die stand. Whatever it is that you want to put on there, that is your media. I watch all the programmes on there now. For me, it's absolutely fabulous. I have my iPad on there. makes it so easy. Watching crafting on the go, stick there and watch your crafters TV, go onto YouTube, watch tutorials, whatever it is that you want to do, Media Stand takes care of that. So there are all your features. Ooh, one really important feature, which is why we don't need to make a Gemini 2 Junior or a Gemini 2 Go. We don't need to do it because the optical sensor now is running across there. There are no manual sensors anymore. It's an optical sensor that runs through 9x12 plates, which is what the original is, and this is. All your 6x9, which is your Gemini Junior plates, all your Gemini Go plates will fit through there as well for your smaller items, which is 3x6. It even fits things like your platforms, like your hot foiling machine, your foil press. You can put that in there as well.
Have you got any of the Gemini Go plates with you today? Because Diana says at some point,
I have indeed.
Could you run them through? She says, I'm afraid to try them, so if they will work, can you show us?
Don't be afraid, don't be afraid. We've got them for you. The Gemini Go plates, the little baby plates, which is your 2 cutting plates, which were purple, rubber embossing matte metal shim, and your rubber, your magnetic shim there. In fact, what are you afraid of? What is it that you're afraid of? There's one plate missing. Oh, you have got to be kidding me. Where's the plastic shim? Let's see if it'll pick it. The plastic shim's not there. I can't believe it. Let's see if we can find the plastic shim. But I'll tell you what I'll do, just so, because I think it'll work without the plastic shim if I put both of those in, which is what I wouldn't normally do. But don't be afraid, because you simply put those in to the mouth of the machine.
There you go. Perfect.
Just to show you.
Yeah.
Yeah? And you can put those in, my lovely, either way. So they can go in sideways. I personally don't. I put them in that way, so the optical sensor pits that through and it makes it super, super quick. So, yeah, don't be afraid of your Gemini Go plates. Get those Gemini Go plates through there, because that's what we do. We've just misplaced one of them, but you saw that go through absolutely no problem when I put the rest of the plates together. And including on top of that with the extra features is it's quicker, it's quieter. Don't know if you've noticed, it's quieter, and it still has the buttons at the top, but now they're flush in rather than sticking up. They're actually flush when you put your finger across. On/off button, play pause button, and the rewind, and it's as simple as that.
Nice.
And I'm going to get started in a moment, showing you how to use it, showing you plate combinations and everything else. And by the way, for those asking, these are the plates that you get with the machine, and you get your 2 white cutting plates that are well loved. Let's just say, so you get 2 of those, which are your cutting plates. You get your rubber embossing mat, which is now raspberry coloured. You get your plastic shim, you get your magnetic shim, and you also get your metal shim. And all of those now come with your machine, and then all of your Gemini Junior plates, because I've got them down here as well, just to show you, so I can chop and change throughout the show. The same applies there. So these are the Gemini Junior accessories that will go through there. Another question that I got asked, and I'll address it now just in case anybody asks. There used to be clear plates, and that used to be a frosted white, the plastic shim. Now, if you've got the old ones and you've still got a stock of them, because we've had some on great deals, they run through the Gemini 2, not just your original. So if you've got the Gemini 2, they run through there. These plates also, as their accessories, go through your original. You won't be able to get the clear plates anymore because we don't manufacture them. These are the new ones. Super strong. These are up to 3 times more strength, and I've said it, and I'll stand on business, they last a lot longer than 3 times. This beauty, which was the one that I replaced the most, the plastic shim, now up to 10 times.
10, yeah.
And I will tell you, hand on heart, since the Gemini 2 launch, which is over 2
years ago
years,
now.
coming up to 3, I haven't changed my plastic shim once. And I want you to bear in mind how many times I craft at home. I have never changed it. It's never needed changing. I did have an accident to cut into it, but that's another story. But it still works, and it hasn't warped, it hasn't bent at all. So these are the stronger plates now, but these are the ones that you're looking out for, because I kept get people asking me, where are the clear cutting plates? But we don't manufacture them anymore.
No.
It's the white. So the white are the cutting plates, and the plastic shim is now the clear frosted.
And on the flip side of that, if you've got the original Gemini, of course, you can put those plates through that machine for you as well. So
absolutely.
That is the way to go. Loads of lovely comments coming through. Good morning from California. I've used my Gemini to emboss with a stencil, says M. It comes out so well. G2 is a rock star, says Laurie Barnett. Love this machine, says Karen Bernhardt. And Helen says, hi all from the farm near Philadelphia. Thank you so much for all these tutorials, breaking the features down. So very helpful. Thank you, Debbie, says Diana. I was afraid that the machine would just swallow them up if they were too small. I was so excited that it's been many times I've wanted to try them, but I've been too afraid. Janelle also says, I use the G2 and the Mini the most. I have the others, but almost always revert to these two. Also, you've got the glide feet on the Gemini 2 as well, as you can see. I just thought of that. Moves around, super duper easy. So it makes it nice and easy for you to...
Mention that.
That's all right, I've got your back.
Sorry, I forgot about the glide feet. Have you mentioned the bit at the bottom with the screw in?
That, and then if you flip it over, you've got the ability to get your little turntable. That does come separately, but you can pop it onto the bottom of there, so you've got glide, and then you'd have the ability to be able to spin that around as well. So many reasons why you guys absolutely love your Gemini 2. So let's get into it. Keep the questions coming. Anything else you want to know, please feel free to ask. So where are we going to start, Debbie?
I'm going to start with simple, basic cut dies. And when I say a simple die, I mean, and I'll show you a visual because we are going to come on to this. When you look at the plates and when you look at your dies, what I'm looking at is how intricate is it? How many cutting points has it got? Now, obviously, this is like a nesting die. It's an old nesting die that we've had in our collection, which has got like an wait a minute.
Intricate.
Inverted part to it. So that was the part I was looking for. Nearly. But there isn't a lot of die cuts because when you put it alongside a very, very intricate die cut, an intricate die, you can see the difference instantly. This is a straightforward shape. It's a circle, squares, triangles. Even though it's got a little bit of a scallop detail and a stitch detail, again, it's not overly intricate, which means then, in terms of how we die cut and the plates and the shims that we use between the two ultimately change. So, cutting plate first, down. Now, I will tell you, and I will address the manual that will come with your machine tells you to do it the other way around, and I'll explain in a second. The reason I do it this way, and I know the other guys do as well, is because I like to see what I'm cutting into. So I've gone with a nice mirror card. I'm just going to line that up and then hold that down. Low tack tape is absolutely invaluable for it. But because it's an intricate, not an intricate die, I want the simplistic plate sandwich. Now, if I was to go in and put the metal shim underneath there, then this, then the plastic shim, then the magnetic shim, then the other cutting plate on the top, it's too much pressure. And the same would mean in terms of the magnetic shim in holding your dies down. I'm going to say start with the least amount of pressure. So least amount of pressure means least amount of plates.
Yes.
Okay, so that's what I just want you to remember. So, straightforward dies, plastic shim, everything's cutting down into there. So the base of a die, so like a die, needs to be cutting into the cutting plate. Not the plastic shim, not the other way around. It needs to cut into that toughened plastic, okay? And then on the other flip side to that is that you want to sandwich this, so you're going to put the other cutting plate onto the top and then run that through. Now, I always say this, and I know Leanne does as well, when you're popping it in, I'm just going to make sure I've got that nice and flush because Debbie's not watching and I haven't turned it around. Super quiet. It's a lot quieter than it used to be, and I know George, bless him. Yeah, were you here when we launched the G2, George? Oh, yeah,
I just can't remember how
remember.
quiet it is, that's what it is.
Yeah, it purrs, it's like a purrer. But yeah, what Leanne taught me, which I thought were invaluable, was about that pressure combination. And always you can add to, but you can't take away. And when you say you can't take away, it means that you end up with warped plates because you put too much pressure in. And they can see this was just a very straightforward, but I actually did put a few of those pieces down because I wanted again to show you how simple it is to be able to create from a simple die, but the plate combination changes dependent on your die. So if I just move that out of the way, line those up, they all nest within each other. But that was the plate combination for a simple die, which was cutting into the cutting plate, the plastic shim and the other cutting plate. No magnetic shim involved, no rubber embossing mats, no metal shim. It's a straightforward, simplistic die. And that's what I want you to look at. When you're looking at a die and judging the die, that's what you need to see and look at to start with. So there you go. That just shows you. And again, it hasn't frayed, it hasn't not cut, it's cut through perfectly. Yeah. But it's just showing you that combination of how to use your die and your plates to get the best out of your plates so that you're not ending up with warped plates or distorted plates, because I didn't go in with the biggest amount of pressure, which is where I think a lot of us sometimes can, and I've done it myself, where a lot of us can just fall short of when it is about just remembering those plates. So that is a simple die. I'm going to move on to that intricate die in a second.
Okay. Yes. No real questions coming through, which is good. Which is fine. Janelle just saying, I use the G2 and the Mini the most. I also have the others, but always revert to those two. I kind of think if you've got the G2 and you've got any sort of the manual machines, you're kind of good to go, really, aren't you? The fact that you can put all these different plate sizes through the Gemini 2 because you've got that optical sensor just means really that you don't need any other machine aside from maybe a Mini, which we've got on our Out of This World deal today. And Ouchie just saying, I love the turntable. We're all up to date as far as the comments are concerned. Let's have a look at a more intricate die then, shall we?
Right, intricate die. In manuals and in most, and I know we've done it before, we've told you to cut into your metal plate with an intricate die.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, don't do that. Again, it's all about pressure. So for me, even though this is a really intricate die that has got hundreds and hundreds of cutting points, if I was to try and cut, look at this, was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, just to here.
Yeah.
We're talking a lot of cutting points. The same applies here, all the way around. I mean, I always use this die to show off the machine at its best and show you why you do not need to go in with loads of plates to start with. If you have trouble cutting it, you can put in the metal shim, but always try first without. That's the best bit of advice I can give you. I am using a coated cardstock again, and I'm going to pop that die, and automatically with an intricate die you'd think, oh God, I've got to stick it up there. It's going to hit that pressure straight away. But you're not. You don't have to. And so I'm going to go in the middle. What I will ask you to do when you are using your plates, and I did mention this, is about moving your dies around and flipping and rotating your plates to get the most out of them. Just to show you to get started though, with this die, I'm going to put a couple of pieces
I do remember those days though when I first started presenting in crafts, how you'd get some machines where they'd tell you to put them in certain places because you'd have like hot spots.
Yes, we haven't got any on here.
No.
None at all. And they could even load some more up on there.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's no worries at all. Now, I've put the plastic shim on. I'm putting the magnetic shim. If you want to use your magnetic shim to hold your dies down, you absolutely can. And I'll show you that in a second, what I mean by that when I've run this through. So then on the next of that, I'm going to put the other cutting plate onto the top, and we're going to run that through the mouth of the machine. Once that sensor picks it up, you don't have to hold it, and I'm going to turn that around so you can see that on the platform itself. I'll just move that out of the way because the handle nearly got in the way. I used to have to catch plates. You don't have to catch them anymore. It literally just sits there and waits for you to pick that up. Now, that's an intricate die. Shall we have a little look and see how it's cut? So when we have a little look at how it's cut, I'm just going to reverse that over. I'm just going to take off all the loose pieces. And I'm going to show you what I mean by an intricate die. So you can see that that has die cut through there. There's a little area or two where it's a little bit faint, which means probably it could benefit from a second cut.
Yeah.
However, this die has got some lovely embossed features, and it's got some embossed features on flowers, on butterflies. So I'm going to show you how to emboss with and I'm going to remember to take my tape off because I always forget to take the tape off normally on this stage. But when we talk about the rubber embossing mat, so let's just get rid of all those pieces. I've got my plate. I'm actually going to flip that over and turn it around. Even though I'm not die cutting, I want to hit the pressure. So I've put my plastic shim now, and I'm going to turn that over so that the die blade is facing up. When I say blade, I just mean the raised elements to your die, not the flat side, the raised element. Now, we don't put the magnetic shim in when we are using our rubber embossing mat, because this is going to emboss all those little details, and it'll also finish that cut off. Now, I can hear you already shouting, well, if it's going to finish the cut off, isn't it going to cut into the rubber embossing mat? Well, no, it's not, because we've just substituted the rubber embossing mat for the magnetic shim. The magnetic shim being thicker, if I was to put that back in, absolutely it will cut through, because I've got it blade facing upwards, but it won't with this. So all we're going to do now is we've taken the magnetic out, we've now put the rubber embossing mat, we've actually faced it the other way around as well. So again, when you are embossing dies, and there are many out there on the market, not just our dies, lots of other companies have dies that do this. Now I'm just going to show you for a second so that you can see that difference. Now, Jamie, you're getting close. Sorry, Jamie. I thought you were all ready for me, it's okay. So you can see that those faint marks are no longer faint.
Yeah,
so I didn't need to run it through for that secondary cut. I didn't need to put the metal shim in there. What I am just going to do is and I will be cleaning up, so it's okay. Just get rid of my pieces. And there it is now, and this is a lovely die. It's one of our old, about 8 years old
Fantastic.
pieces that stays connected in. But can you see all the detail? That's what difference makes by using your embossing folder. Thank you, Jamie. Even down to the butterfly wings, it's embossed all that detail. And it has die cut to perfection. To perfection. So I've shown you how to use a simple dies like nesting dies, something that hasn't got a lot of die cutting points. And then I've gone in so intricate with one of my oldest favourite dies. I'll never get rid of this, and I'll never get rid of it for this reason, to show you how fantastic that machine is. No hot spots, no missing any areas, no having to put in loads of shims in there, just showing you how to use it to die cut it and then emboss it to get that embossed detail. And that is the first part of the die cutting done for you.
There you go. Make sure you save this show, right? Or certainly jot down all those hints and tips that you think you might need over the coming weeks, because this is going to be the one as far as all of the Gemini machines are concerned. A real kind of how-to as far as the G2 is concerned. And yeah, if you need to see anything as far as the Mini and the Midi are concerned as well, feel free to fire in those questions. But like I've said, get the questions in, keep the comments coming through, and we will come back to you in about 4 minutes' time.
Everybody, this is Lynn Bledsoe. You asked me why I like or I love Crafter's Companion. Well, it's because I'm not a very good crafter, and Crafter's Companion makes me look better. It makes me look like a better crafter than I am, because I'm not good at design. So I have the layout collection that helps me with design. I don't like to do the same thing over and over, so I have a template library that gives me lots of new ideas and card bases and things to try. I never know what to put on the inside of the card, so I have the compendiums that have all the sayings for cards, and I never know what combinations to put together and what goes with what, and so all their collections make it easy for me to know what to do. So that is why I love Crafter's Companion, because they make me look like a better crafter and give me ways to do things that I haven't tried before. Thanks, bye.
Pokey tools and paper pads, gilding, wax and stamping mats, scissors, glitter, builder blocks, faux snow fabric, rocker blocks, Breas, misters, quilting clips, die brush tools, precision snips, finger daubers, acetates, stencils, glue guns and templates, Gemini Pro, Junior and the OG, Gemini Go, Mini and the Midi, tri-blend brush pens, aqua pens and aqua blends, illustrators, classics and tri-blends and color blends and glitter pens and sparkle pens, outliner pens. Fine tip glue, applicators, envelopes, creators, stamping platforms, boxer boards, the big score and scoreboard, Nina card and craft card, glitter card, matte black card, craft kits, wadding and adhesive sheets, glass mats, guillotines and pen trays, ball tool, dice and zinc trays, miter tools and binding tools and toe bags, USBs, bone folders and punches, low-tech tape pin brushes, stamens, mountboard, flower forming foam, outline markers, DVDs, felt quick Triton pads and CDs, gilding flakes and washi tape, tacky glue, red liner tape, craft pads, full press, sparkle pots, Centura pan and sticky dots, pigment, ink pads, chunky glue, body bags, all-purpose glue, embossing folders, blending tools, storage folders, much more too. Water reactive ink pads, body bags, craft magnets, gear of craft and glue, stick and spray and stick away, dotty tape and split pens, acrylic paint pens, tape pens, watercolor card, rotary cutters, magazines and stamping card, ultimate Pro and the rotating design board, ultimate first compendium, Sarah signature collections, and don't forget discovery kits. Oh, and there's foam pads, think that's it. One final thing, foam on a roll. Foam on a roll.
Hello everybody. In Crafters World, my name's Holly Collie. I'd just like to tell everybody how much my mummy appreciates and loves Crafters TV. They've really helped during the last couple of years when it's been a bit of a rough time. I know I'm the best dog in the world, but Crafters TV is the best company in the world. Thank you very much everybody. Bye!
Holly Collie, bless her. Love my G2, says Michelle. Rosalind says, video saved, so many great tips. You always feel like you're in a real classroom when Debbie's on. No, you do, don't you? You do. Rosalind also says that is one of my favourite creator card dies. It's always great to use that as a great demonstration as to just how powerful the G2 cut is. Couple of questions, Debbie.
Yes.
Tracy Cook, have other crafters had an issue with cutting plates bowing? I think I must be doing something wrong. She isn't though, is she?
Great example, and I'm just going to get this out. Sorry, it's because I'm so used to answering the question. It's about moving around your plate, so not and this is a classic example. I always talk about it. God love, if you're watching Linda, I love you to bits. But she will put in the die in the same place. The die in the same place, time and time again. And do you know what happens? That pressure keeps hitting that same place all the time. Goes like that. So you have to move it around. So if you've got like smaller dies, move them around or place them around, or if you can, die cut as much as you can on the plate so that it's getting an even cut when it's running through the rollers. Don't forget about flipping and rotating, so turning it over and then doing the same. So start in one area, then cut into others, and do this and get into the habit of doing it. And remembering that the all four, now I know how Craig talks about is he always has one flat. He doesn't use one. He doesn't die cut into one. I'm going to just tell you as it is for me. I just die cut onto them all because they're 4 cutting platforms there that enable you to keep those plates rotating and turning and flipping and rotating and changing your dies around so that the pressure hits different places all the time. If you want to do a Craig and keep one flat, keep one flat. There's no right or wrong.
Some people number theirs up as well, don't they? So they know which way they're using them.
So lovely girl I worked with, and Nicole, if you're watching, she won't mind me saying, but that's exactly what she did. She marked with a marker. She'd put one there when she flipped and rotated. She'd put one there, like little figures, like little gates, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3. And she used to do it so that she knew exactly where she was. I'm going to just tell you as it is when it comes to me crafting. Yeah. I forget. I completely forget. What I do in my head is when I'm at home especially, I take it out, I flip it and turn it ready to put the next die on. So in my head I'm doing it all, it's like automatic. So that's how I know. And if you are getting warpage, it's because you're probably hitting the same point in the same place over and over and over again, and you need to change it around and move it around. And don't forget the flipping and rotating. So I hope that answers your question.
Laura, we've got your question about the plastic shim and the mini and midi. We'll come on to that towards the end of the show. But I think you say you struggle with embossing with it. It may just be that you're not using the shim at the right time. But we'll come on to that later on in the show.
Yeah, I'll cover that as well. Yeah. And also just to say about the plates, as I explained in that first demos with the simple dies and the intricate dies, it's just remembering, looking at your die and working out, is it a simple die? Is it an intricate die? If it's in between, try it without the magnetic shim. If you need to add the magnetic shim and it hasn't quite cut through, then add that in. It's all about the pressure. That has got phenomenal pressure. Nothing's changed. We haven't compromised anything with the machine when we've just changed the design. We've like brought it up a little bit more modern, more features to it. We haven't compromised on the pressure. What we talk about pressure is the pressure we put in to the machine. It's what we do with the sandwiches that affect that. So that's all I need you to remember. That's already there for you with the right pressure and all the jobs that it'll do for your die cutting. You just need to remember the simple steps of what you're doing with your die cutting and your plate combinations. That's all you need to remember.
Cool. Embossing folders next, isn't it?
It is. And I'm talking 2D, 3D and embossing with your stencils. So I've got all 3 out there. There is another ones that we do, which are called cut and emboss folders, which are, this is a very old one, but this is a regular folder with a piece of metal, and I'll talk about that in a second. So first things first, 2D embossing folders. I am now going to switch to my smaller platforms, or my smaller plates, or shims, whatever you want to call this. But for a 2D embossing folder, it is just the 2 clear cutting plates, nothing else. Nothing else. No, that's all you need to remember. Yeah. Pop that in, that will do that for you. Simple as, and that's any 2D regular embossing folder. And when you get it, the technology that we have in our embossing folders in our machine is it's a straightforward, edge to edge, no missing any spots at all. And that is your 2D embossing folder. Look at that, beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Right, 3D, this is when we have to change it up, because the difference between a 2D and a 3D very clearly is the plastic that we make it, because this has just got one level embossing in. This has now got multiple levels of embossing. Another one of my favourite embossing folders that I bought by Multiples because I absolutely adore it. And a difference between your 3D is there's extra sculpture, there's extra cutouts for different detailed embossing. So when you're doing this one, and again, all you're going to feel for is the, I call it the raised, and then the recess, the bits that are set in. So it's the deboss and the emboss. So I want the raised part. So I'm going to pop that. I'm just going to make sure, yep, that's the raised, because the raised is going to push through, and I'm using a patterned cardstock. So I'm going to push that through into that recess. Now the change is plastic shim. Your folder, your magnetic shim now becomes a sandwich, because you're sandwiching that embossing folder into there. And then the only time that you'll change it without a cutting plate is the plastic shim. This is for all 3D folders, all 3D. I'll talk about the mini and the midi afterwards for anybody who's asking that question, because it is completely different on a manual machine. We're talking all things electronic, and there you go. Again, brilliant. Edge to edge, beautiful detail, gorgeous embossing. You can see the different levels of embossing on there as well, from the flats to the raised to the super raised, and that is your 3D embossing taken care of. Now, the other one, the one that I get asked all the time, Debbie, how do you emboss a stencil? You talk about it, how do you emboss it? So stencil, any shape and size. I've gone with a satin cardstock. Now, I'm going to pop that onto there. What I'm going to do next is turn it down onto the cutting plate. And I am going to pop a little bit of low-tack tape just to hold that stencil to my cardstock. You're going to bring in your rubber embossing mat, because that stencil needs to bounce into something. You are not going to put your magnetic shim in. You're going to just place on top the plastic shim and the other cutting plate, and that is your combination for all of your stencils. So remember, no magnetic shim, rubber embossing mat. Pop that down there. And then when you take that off, every single stencil that you now own in your stash, you have embossed detail. And the embossed detail is as so.
That's so good.
So good. And it means that you've got extra crafting now abilities with your stencils. And look how beautiful that looks. Absolutely gorgeous. So I've taken care of 2D, 3D and your stencils. And then for your cut and emboss folders, I think I've got, let me just see if I've got another sheet of cardstock just down here. Let me just trim this down just for a second, just so I can explain about cut and emboss folders. So I'll just cut that shy of that size, there we go. Because in here, you've got embossing details, but you've also got a die cut piece that's attached into the folder. And all you're going to do is place that into your folder, and you're going to treat this like you would treat it as a regular embossing folder. Now, I add an extra shim in. So this is a regular embossing folder, but there's a piece of metal in there. So I just put as a little extra shim, the metal shim into it, and then sandwich it in between the two regular cutting plates for a cut and emboss folder. I'm just giving it that extra bit of chance to cut through, because there is a metal die in there. It's not an intricate one, it's not a very intricate one, but you can do it without. I know from when I use it that I need that extra in there, and that then becomes your cut and emboss folder, and again, all that gorgeous embossing detail. And that's how you do a cut and emboss folder.
Fantastic.
Okay, so I think I've covered quite a bit there. We're going to move on in a second to materials.
Yes.
Multimedia dies. Regular dies cutting into materials as well. So just to put it out there for you, and all the different kind of fabrics and things that you can cut, and different types of pressure you can cut using multimedia dies.
All covered in this show. Mark it down. Don't forget the date of it. Joe Nell says, I put a T in permanent marker in the bottom corner of what I consider the top of the embossing folder so that I can just grab it and go and don't have to feel it every time. That's a good idea, actually. That is a good idea. Is the CC logo always on the raised side of the embossing folder, says Karen? Oh, now there's a question.
Oh, there's a question for you. We like to confuse things here at Crafters. Many moons ago, they were on the front.
Yeah.
Then we changed it. Then we disappeared. The CC logo disappeared for a bit. And then now they're at the back. So now all your new ones, the logo for the deboss will be underneath. I will tell you, to be on the safe side, run your fingers across the embossing folder. If it's raised, let me bring back in that embossing folder just for a second. If you've got a raised side, this is the side of the raise. Can you see this was the older, this one, sorry, Jamie, let me just put there. This is an old style one. This is about 7-8 years ago when we brought this out.
Yeah.
Used to be on the front. They're now on the back. So I know, and I usually put a little E or D for embossing or debossing onto the back or the front of my folder. But I now know, just by putting my hands over there, the raised, that is where I will put my cardstock, and especially if I wanted to pop cardstock, I want that raised bit to push through the coated side. So that's the bit that I would put it onto. So it's just about having a feel. Have a little feel. If you don't know and you're not sure if it's an old one or a new one, just have a little feel.
And if you're not so sure, you know, just get a bit of scrap paper, run it through, and then you'll be able to find, won't you, which way it is.
Great,
And then
great, yeah. What a great thing that is. Bit of scrap.
Yeah, and then mark it down, like Debbie's just said. I need to try embossing the stencil, says Carol. I love the look. It's brilliant. And again, Debbie's a massive fan of, always talks about, you know, products which aren't one-trick ponies. She likes products that they do 2, 3, 4, 5 different things. And this is the thing allowing you, you know, sometimes you can emboss through a die, you can colour through a die. Now, with your stencils, you can use those to emboss as well. So if you've never done it before, use this as the show that's giving you sort of that kick in that direction to give it a go. Very achievable. Robin Lane says, this is just a wonderful show. I do appreciate this. And Colin Passadi says, I'm loving this show. Right, we're going to crack on. Any more questions you want to fire in, please feel free to ask. Don't think to yourself, oh, it's a silly question, I don't want to ask. Get it in, ask that question. That's what this show is here for, to help you get the very best out of your Gemini 2. So please feel free to ask. I know Debbie's being very thorough with all of her explanations, so she might have covered off the question you were going to ask anyway. But let's go on and talk about different materials. We're going to cut some fabric now. We are indeed, because as you know, for soft crafts, this is a great machine when it comes to your, because it's a multifunctional machine in die cutting, embossing, but literally transported into the world of other things, like other mediums, like multimedia dies. And the difference between a multimedia die to a regular die is the deepness of the blade. And I keep saying blade, I don't mean a really sharp blade that's going to cut your fingers. Kids can use these. My grandkids use die cutting. I give them the mini and midi normally because it's just an easier combination for them. But you can use them. But can you see the difference between the thick raised element to a flat? And the flatter is the paper craft die. The thicker are the multimedia dies. Gotcha.
We've now made it easier. Now, again, I'm going back to the dies when I worked in store, and they used to all be silver.
Nightmare.
But a nightmare to differentiate. We then turned them into a copper coloured or a bronze colour. So now the more modern multimedia dies from Crafter's Companion are bronze or rose gold coloured. So there's the difference, so you can visibly see it. So, and now I'm going to talk to you about the different materials that are out there. So just for a second, so you can see them on my platform. I've got multiple pieces of cotton. I've got real genuine leather. You can see the lovely suede bit on the back. And then I've got a fabric that's a bit more pliable. It's a glitter fabric, but I'm going to use a paper craft die on the top of it.
Right, okay.
So I'm going to show you the combinations for, because these are multimedia dies, which we're going to show you, and I'm going to do this in stages because that is a lot of fabric versus one sheet of leather. Now, when you're using your multimedia dies, there's a different section in your manual, and it will talk about using your metal shim alongside your plastic shim and your 2 cutting plates. Okay, so I'll get those plates out for you. Now, I know from regularly using leather that I don't need to cut into the metal shim to start with. So I'm going to move that out, and I'm just going to show you what I mean by that, by just simply popping it on. I am going to hold it down again with a little bit of tape just to make sure it doesn't move. And I've got one of my multimedia dies. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop. Now, have you noticed I haven't gone in the middle? I'm moving it around.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
Again, this is the secret to your plates and the longevity of your plates. But I'm just placing that on, and it is literally just the 2 cutting plates and the plastic shim and running that through. And again, it's the least amount of pressure. If I find it doesn't cut, Ben, do you know what I'm going to do? I'll add the metal shim to cut into. That's what I would do. However, just to prove the point of hot knife through butter analogy that we like to use, it's no, you know, so I didn't need to use the metal shim. Now, I will be totally honest and transparent with you. At home, I have one platform, one cutting plate for multimedia dies because they're a deeper ridge, they cut deeper into the plate.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is, can you see the markings that it's left behind? It's slightly deeper than what would be on a regular cutting die, okay? So that's the difference. However, that's what I tend to do. I'm probably just going to have to put a little mark on there. But, you know, to be fair, we could get away with it because it's not deeply cut into it. It's not a massive ridge. You can put your fingers across. It's not gone right in there. It's not a massively deep cut. But it's just showing you, again, just how beautiful that does and how that works. Now, we are moving over to multiple fabrics. And not a chance am I going to put multiple fabrics in without putting metal shim in. So I'm going to turn that over and flip that plate around because, again, I don't want the pressure to be hitting the same point. I'm going to put my magnetic shim down. I've got my multiple fabrics. We're going to put our metal die onto there. And then I'm going to add in the plastic shim and the other cutting plate. And then we're going to run that through. I think there's 8 sheets of cotton there.
Wow, okay.
I normally put 8 sheets there. You can kind of hear a slight difference, not a massive difference. But when we take, look at that.
Easy peasy.
I mean, easy peasy, lemon squeezy is the analogy. Please don't worry about this. This is normal. This is, if you think about scissors to scissors, metal to metal cutting, that's what you want to get a crisp, clean cut, because what we've got here now are multiple fabrics that are cleanly cut through there, and this is 100% cotton, and I'm just trying to work out how many I've got, because I don't know if I've done more, actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
7.
Oh, yeah, they were 8. They were 8. There you go. So 8 through that cleanly.
Beautifully cut, no fraying.
No fraying. There's no fraying. That you can't find any fraying on there. Cut through cleanly, beautifully. And again, just showing you the difference in terms of your plate combination from like your 1 sheet of fabric to like multiple sheets of fabric. Right. We talked about fabric now with a regular paper craft die.
Okay.
And I want you to just push things, what I've told you, out of your head for a second.
Right.
Because, let's turn that round. And if you've noticed, I've turned it round, flip reversed it, but now I'm going to cut up here.
Right.
Okay? Because you can see that's where I did that, that's where I did the other. But this is what I'm talking about in terms of shifting things around, flip reversing, longevity.
Good housekeeping.
Very good housekeeping. Now, regular thin paper crafting die through material is a tough order. It's a tough call because it's a paper craft die. It's meant for paper and card only. But you can do fabrics as well. So I'm going to pop that up to that top part. I'm going to hold that down. I am probably going to put a little bit of tape down just to make sure it doesn't move. And now you're going to just pretend you didn't hear what I said about not putting like all your platforms in because of pressure. Well, it's going to need it this time because...
Did I hear you say that?
Because I'm cutting through a paper craft die through fabric. So plastic shim, metal shim, magnetic, and then your other cutting plate. This is the only time. So if I find you writing that down, I'll be coming round knocking on that door. You don't use it for all the others. This is only for a paper craft die through fabric. Only. Only.
Yeah.
I'm going to repeat that again. Only. Just so that you're not putting too much pressure. Again, look, you can see that it's a little bit of a indentation mark there. Perfectly normal. But what we've asked it to do is probably something that you wouldn't expect of a paper craft die, but just cuts to absolute perfection. It hasn't destroyed my plates, it hasn't destroyed my platform, but it's cut through a very intricate paper craft die. And I'm just going to pop that onto some cardstock and show you, let's go in the close, Jamie, how stunning that is. And it has cut through. There is pieces that I need to just poke out because I haven't poked it out, but pokes out cleanly. So I'll put on just to prove that point again. Cut out to perfection. Okay, so that's how you use a papercraft die through material with a different plate combination that I've been telling you to ignore for the others, but now you can do it for this occasion. You can do it on this occasion.
Well, it's been such a brilliant show. It's so thorough. Few questions coming in, so let's just crack on with these. So Louise is just saying, I mean, we haven't got them in stock currently, but when we do get them back in, will she get a booklet with her G2, Louise? Is there a booklet that comes with it?
There is a booklet with the G2, yes, there is a booklet in the G2. Bookmark this show.
Yeah.
I keep telling them, put a Debbie booklet in. Let me have my time to shine. We had foil press. Booklet. We had foil press Craig. Yeah. Where Debs is well, she just does everything. She's amazing at what she does. But I would stand in this same spot and speak for hours about this machine, talk you around all the things that you can do with it, which we will recap towards the end of the show. But I think I've taken you through, apart from, well, we could, but do you know what we could do, George? Just one other thing.
I've got a couple more questions as well.
Oh, go on.
You've interrupted my flow.
No, it's fine, yeah, no.
I just want to get them in, because otherwise we'll forget. Sue says, I assume that you can cut faux leather with your Gemini 2.
Yes, you can.
Right.
If you can cut real leather, Sue, you can cut faux leather. It's just that combination I showed you. Just put your cutting plate with your faux leather down, your die on the top, your plastic shim and your other cutting plate. If you find it struggles, put your metal shim underneath. But I think you'll find it cuts through there perfectly.
What is the combo if you're cutting mount board, like with your jigsaw?
Well, funnily enough. Georgia, are we all right to do this? Thank you. So I'm just going to show you one other little thing because I've got different materials. I've got mount board. What a great... Oh, sent that through.
It was just a generic... Well, Rachel sent it through, but she said a lot of people were asking.
Thank you, Rachel. That is fine. I will show you. I've got some, like, Hessian material sheets there. OK? I'm going to put that on there as well with one of my little love heart dies.
Oh, we're doing different materials in one go.
Different materials in one go. Shall we go with a bit of felt?
What's top left, then? So Hessian...
So I've got Hessian, I've got felt.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm probably just going to put those on for now. So that's mount board, nice thick compressed card. I've got one sheet of felt, okay, just one. You're probably thinking, why just one? But again, well, actually, do you know what? Go on, let's chuck another one on there. Let's lift dangerously.
Dangerous Debbie.
And Dangerous Debbie. And now I've popped on that. Now, of course, this is multimedia die, lots of different thicknesses to materials, lots of different materials on there as well. So what I'm just going to do is show you the combination. Now, we're going back to the no rule of the magnetic shim. Chuck that away. You're not using that. You are just going to put your plastic shim onto the top and your cutting plate. So it's your cutting plate, metal, plastic, cutting plate. Right. And run that through. And you're going to, oops, wait a minute, nearly had an escape artist there. You get back down there, you. Let me get a little bit of tape. You ain't shifting. I've run out of tape, so it doesn't matter. I think I'll be okay with the others. Let's just, yep, we'll be fine. And then just hold that, right. So I'm going to hold that. Nothing's escaping. Let the machine do the hard work. It picks it up. Now you're going to hear.
Oh, satisfying that.
I love that crunch. I know that crunch is quite excessive. That crunch is excessive because of all the different materials I've put on there. But it is absolutely super normal to do. And again, your analogy there is that this will take the bashing, shall we say?
That takes the bashing,
this is all, and again, you'll just flip reverse and you'll just keep, to get longevity out of your metal shim as well. And I'm going to show you the plates afterwards as well, because what I've been talking and harping on about all afternoon, for this show, is about the longevity of your plates. I mean, do you know what? I could have put 3 or 4 sheets of felt down. I don't even know why I didn't. But again, just showing you different thicknesses and different materials at once that Gemini can tackle and laugh in the face of. I'm going to not cut out for you. I am going to give you the perfect die cuts each and every single time. From mount board to multiple sheets of Hessian to a couple of sheets of thick felt on there. And I could have put foam and everything else on there as well to show you the different mediums. But yeah, absolutely. So I hope that answered your question about the combination for your mount board.
And can you use fabric fabric plates for regular paper dies, asks Rhonda.
Oh, do you know what? I've never used that. Because Becky does that down at Sewing Street, yes, because they are thicker metal plates.
Yeah.
And we do have double-sided plates as well. I've never used our paper crafting dies in our
fabric plates.
In our fabric plates because they were purposely made and manufactured for fabrics. So all I would say is if you've got them, try them.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you've got them, try them because I'm not sure. Let me just show you. I've been talking about it all afternoon, Anta, about your longevity of your plates, just so you can see. This is not me squeezing them together, but literally the longevity of your plates, if you keep flipping and rotating, you are going to get a lot of use out of them. Because honestly, it's all about, we know that machine has got the most amount of pressure, and I think, I'm going to say it again, and on heart, probably the best pressured machine out there on the market.
Yeah.
It's what we do, it's what we put into that machine that changes up things. So I've talked through regular cutting dies, intricate cutting dies, 2D, 3D, stencils, cut and emboss folders, fabric from leather to multiple layers of cotton, to paper craft dies with a material, and then to different multimedia materials. And I think I've covered all of that, and I probably helped you with all of those plate combinations in how you change all of those up to get all of those results for you. And honestly, I adore our machine. Yeah. And I will briefly talk about the manuals as well. Yeah. I'll get ready to just put that to one side just to show you what you're going to do with those.
Sue's joined us saying about embossing with a stencil. If you go back earlier in the show, you'll see Debbie doing that embossing with a stencil. Trudy just saying, that will be the title of my Gemini 2 notebook, Debbie's G2 Words of Wisdom. And yes, Laura, basically the only other question we've got to kind of sum up is to help Laura emboss with the MIDI. So we can have a quick look at that in just a second. Also, just a question from Trudy, who says, how do I have a full sheet of 8.5 by 11 paper and have the carved wood 3D embossing folder? So basically what she's talking about, she's got a big piece of like A4 size paper, and she's got a smaller embossing folder. So how does she go about embossing all of it with the smaller folder? Is it just a case of putting it in one place, running it through, and then just shifting it?
Yeah, but you will get some. You'll
get gaps, won't you?
You'll get gaps, and I say gaps if you're wanting to use like a 5x7 onto a great big sheet. Have you thought about doing it in panels so that you don't get that gaps? Because I've done it myself, but I've had to be clever about how I've used something. Might use a strip of paper to cover the little, because you will get a little bit of a space. A continuous pattern. If you're running through, especially a 3D folder, you've run it through once, but then you're moving it across to the other side. This is embossed. You're putting it back through plates, squishing. You're gonna flatten the pattern. So think about it, because obviously there's lots of people. You heard me ask Leanne, bigger embossing folders. She wrote it down. I'm hoping she's true to her word and we get some. But we're talking A4, 8x8s, bigger ones for that reason, because it can be quite tricky. So normally how I tackle it is I put it into panels and I make it work into my pattern. Because you will get a flattened version of your 3D if you're doing that through multiple times, if you're moving it across the cardstock.
We're pretty much up to date with the questions, so should we have a quick look at the Mini and the MIDI, and in particular answer Laura's question. So she's struggling, Debbie, with embossing.
So I'm just going to cut the cardstock because just to cover and to do that question there, just so you can see with that. So I've got my embossing folder. So let's go back to 3D and where's my 2D? There's my 2D. Now then, don't know if I've got my platforms for me, Gemini, Mini and MIDI. MIDI, there we go. MIDI, there, that's it. Now these two machines, these are our manual machines. Ben, what is it?
Simplicity without the electricity.
Absolutely. Both are the same machine, just a different size.
Yeah.
Mini, 3x6, MIDI, 6x9, which is equivalent to your electronic junior machine in terms of the platform. The simplicity comes with this. So the simplicity is everything die cutting goes into the folder, everything embossing regular goes on top of here, and a 3D goes straight into the mouth of the machine. Both have their sucker feet
Yeah.
that literally you place onto the top of your platform, push down, that's now secure. And when I say secure,
There you go.
picks up your glass mats and the little, do you know what, just to prove a point, because I love doing this, the little might be little, but it ain't half mighty.
There you go.
All right? That's just showing you the power of the suction caps, the suction feet, right? So just pop that down. Left-hand, right-handed, doesn't make any difference. Turn the machine to work for you, because that's why the handle is there. And it is literally no plugs, no cables, no nothing, just a handle to turn the rollers, okay? Right, embossing. 2D embossing.
Yep.
Now, dependent on your machine, and I'm just going to show you what I mean by that, is you can add, so I've popped a bit of cardstock into there, the shim that you get, whether it's your small mini or your midi, and yours of course will be, that'll be clear with your new style midi, is that you put that onto the top. I sometimes add an extra bit of cardstock underneath for a bit of an extra shim. Just depends on the effects that I get, but you literally run it through the mouth of the machine, you turn the handle, and you'll know if you've got a good embossed detail. And I know that that is pretty awesome.
There you go.
Pretty awesome, okay?
Yeah.
So that's your 2D embossing.
Yeah.
With your manual machines. 3D embossing, I mean, you talk about simplicity. Couldn't get any easy if you tried.
Whack
Could
it in.
not get any easier
Whack it
if
in,
you tried.
shove it through.
Whack it in, shove it through the mouth of the machine, and that's it.
Yeah.
And again, exception to the rule sometimes is that I may add an extra shim with a piece of cardstock underneath. Okay? So again, take that out, and you've got your beautiful embossed detail. Beautiful. Absolutely. Super easy. Super simple, super easy to use. Like I said, any die cutting, everything that you see me do here, you will just do into your platform. And as you can see, these will take a hit at some point where I think this might need, well, I actually think there's quite a lot left in that myself personally.
And even if it splits as well, because people worry if the folder splits, but you can still use it, can't you?
Well,
if the hinge splits.
Look what I did on our little Crafty Stash show during the Christmas period break. I broke mine live on air, on the show.
Yeah.
Because also, I'll tell you with your dies, when you're placing a die on, and I mentioned this to a couple of ladies at the weekend when I was at the show, and the reason I broke mine is because I pushed my die up to the top and I forgot about my hinges. So when the pressure comes, if it's right close up to the top, the pressure's too much for the hinges and it'll snap. So make sure when you're using it, just bring it down a little bit. So any of your dies, just bring down that little fraction, okay? That's all you need to remember. Keep the dies away from the top of the hinges. If it does break, you just simply literally just attach a bit of tape to the micropore tape I think I used on mine. But remember all 4 pieces. And again, Linda, if you're watching, I love you, but she had a mini. And she said to me, look at me plate. Oh, if you'd seen this plate, Ben, you've never seen not like it. It were a literal banana, like curled up here. And I said, what have you been doing? And she went, oh, just keep putting me die. And again, she was doing the same thing. Die in the same spot. And wasn't cutting into all 4 sides.
Yeah.
Flip, rotate, move your dies around. Please do remember that. And the beauty of this, if you've got the big one, is that it will take your little platform in there as well.
Yes.
And you can put your little platform and run that through as well. So you don't necessarily have to have both machines, but you can get, of course, both sets of plates for your midi.
Just quickly, so a question I've never seen before, but it's a really, really valid question, actually. So, yeah, why not ask it? So Tracy's asking, so she says how the folder for the manual machines looks simpler.
Yeah.
Can you put the folders from the manual machines through your electronic machines?
Absolutely not.
I've never had that question before, but
what
a
a
good
great question. And
Yeah.
that's not me going, oh my God, what a stupid
No.
question. No, it's not a silly question. It's an absolutely
It's a
valid
great question.
and it is a great question. But I'll tell you the simple reason why. When you put that through there, what are you actually putting it with? What are you got? Because obviously this is a sandwich.
Yeah.
It's going to take it. Well, I'm saying take it. It's recognised it.
Yeah.
But it won't do anything.
No.
It will not do anything. There's not enough pressure. So you can't put these through there and expect to get a die cut or an embossed version or anything like that when you put that through. What a fantastic question. Because seriously, people ask us this all the time. You don't put your plastic shims in there. They simply stay into your manual machines. But everything that I've shown you that you've seen me do here, with the exception, and I will just say, you can do your multimedia dies through there. If I had my, I had it at the weekend, but I have a folder just for multimedia dies. I don't have it for paper craft dies.
Right.
Because they do cut deep into the plastic and they will mark your cardstock. So please, if you are putting multimedia dies through there, I think I've got a video on my page, you know, where I showed you how to do stenciling through there with the MIDI and things like that. But everything that I've done with an electronic, you can do with there. The difference being is that do you need multiple fabrics where it cuts out 8? Don't try putting 8 through there. 4.
Right.
You get 4. 1
Yeah.
you can get through perfectly. 4 maximum through there. So it will still do that. And I have a video, like I said, on my page. I might pin it actually and put it at the top of my page so that you can give you a little recap, so that you can go and have a little look at my page. Please give me a like and a follow. I'm trying to grow that platform and I'm getting a bit stuck.
Me too.
I'm getting a bit stuck. So please share it with your friends and your crafty friends about what I get up to and things like that. But please give it a like and a follow. And because I'm nearly at 8,000.
Oh, yeah.
Nearly at 8,000. I'm 100 short of 1,000. So I'll pin that about this at the top because I did do a little demonstration and I'll put that through for you. But I hope you've learned something today. I hope I've given you some educational tips. I love these types of shows. I'm telling you right now, I could do them all week. In fact, I think I've got another one coming up. Oh, I have.
We have tonight.
Embossing.
Embossing folders.
Embossing
a couple of
folders.
hours.
I'm going to talk, I'll probably go through and repeat 2D, 3D stenciling, letterpress techniques, the kind of things that you can emboss, materials that you can emboss. In fact, I'll save some of these because you can do things like that as well. Lots of different types of things that you can emboss as well. And get your questions ready. And what time's that, Ben? It's
5. So basically just under 2 hours time, midday Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, 5 o'clock UK. So we should look forward to that. Get your questions in. You guys just say you're loving these shows. Greatly appreciate all these shows, says Jen. As a long-time crafter, I always learn something new. Also, it's a reminder to use the produce for the right job. And I have all the machines, says Sue. This has been a wonderful tutorial. Thank you so much to Debbie. What an absolutely brilliant show. Save it, right? Even if you add it to your playlist on YouTube, whether you're just noting it down in a notebook so you know where to come back. And if you're stuck with anything embossing-wise, embossing folders coming your way tonight at 5. So until then, thank you so much for watching. And Debbie and I will see you for another Craft Your Stash in about 2 hours' time. Bye for now.